Hello, everybody. Welcome to Most Wanted Topics. We're back in action. I tell you what, we are excited. Yeah. I'm Kevin the Tank. Along with me, the mighty Mafu.
I'm back.
Back in action. And I tell you what, don't worry, folks. Atomic Tommy is going to be here, too. We have a loaded show for you guys tonight.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to kick things off. We're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about Hasbro and their news, and that's why we brought in the specialist of our toys, Mighty Mafu. We're going to talk about comic conventions, and we're going to get into some details and dive in about the worth and the big ones and kind of if they're still noteworthy or not. We're just going to kind of go into some
I still think they are.
Some weeds into some comic conventions. And we're also going to talk about some books and some issues coming out. We have a lot to talk about with signings coming up. We've got a big announcement coming up to bring to you guys. So anyway, with that, let's dive right in. Mighty Mafu reeling from the Lions not entering the Super Bowl and the non-existent Super Bowl with KC not showing up. We're moving on here.
KC let us down.
Yeah, they did let us down. It wasn't much of a game, but
I think they got cocky.
We're on the spring training, and I'm just letting football go for now. But we have to look forward to is the Most Wanted brackets, Most Wanted Madness coming out.
Fortunately, no Transformers are on there for me.
No Transformers made the cut, but stay tuned in a couple weeks before you know it. Most Wanted Madness will be here. You'll get your brackets to play, and we got some good prizes to give away.
Some great ones.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about that. But let's dive right in. Let's get to the meat of why you're here, Mighty Mafu.
Yep.
We're going to dive right in. Hasbro had an article out, and it did involve toys. And anything that affects toys with Most Wanted Comics, the Mighty Mafu, our expert, is brought in. So let's dive right in. Mighty Mafu, let's go for it.
Okay, this is getting my blood pressure skyrocket. Okay. But so I heard the news that Hasbro is now going to be focusing their attention on video games instead of toys. Now, they tried this before with movies, but according from what, in my mind, after reading this article, it seems like we're probably not going to see as much Marvel Legends or G.I. Joe, for example, on shelves. So they're going to be focusing less on their production and more on video games. Now, that's just what I think of what they're going to do. And that's, I mean, they're investing $1 billion in this video game thing, which is a crazy amount of money and not a smart move.
And we've kind of already seen it with what? Power Rangers, right?
Oh, yeah. And Power Rangers with Playmates and how they're going to be licensing some of their brands like G.I. Joe off and Power Rangers out to other companies. And you know, they did that with G.I. Joe where they went to Super 7. And that's not, I don't know how to make of that. All I have to say is that that's a dumb idea.
You want the Hasbro, obviously, to continue making the toy lines.
Yeah, because that's what they're known for.
Yeah, they are making for toys. They're moving into video. And why do you think they're moving into more of the video game market? What did they say in the article? Do you know?
Well, I don't know if they really said that in the article, but in my mind, I think that they're trying to reach a younger audience who don't go outside and, you know, who don't really play with toys, because my generation is solely focused on screens. So that's probably what they're going to aim for.
So they did say they're moving more towards video games, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I mean, the screen is kind of where it's at. Video games is where it's at. I mean, a lot of...
They better make some good games.
I just feel like... I don't know what to make of that too, because it's
a dumb idea.
They're known for toys. Hasbro's always been known for toys, and that's fine if you want to make video game lines too.
It's all for diversification. I mean, we sell comics, toys, cards, and
collectibles.
And I'm all for that. I mean, Hasbro focus more on toys and less on video games. Have video games in your back pocket as your spare, as a spare tire if your toy market.
All right, cool. I tell you what, that's a great take, and you know,
great take.
Let's go back example, and I always refer to this, the greatest decade, especially for toys and kids, the 80s.
Oh yeah, the 80s,
the greatest.
I wish I was born in the 80s.
Well, it had the best toy lines, and everybody knows that. That's why the nostalgia is so high for it, because it had play sets, and it accompanied
like the flag.
The toys accompanied the screens. Okay, screens weren't the dominant thing. The screens were part of the toys, so the kid could play and let his or her imagination run wild. They could cross over My Little Pony and have G.I. Joe riding on the back of My Little Pony, taking adventure. Whatever. You could have Star Wars cross over with G.I. Joe or Transformers cross over with Star Wars. It didn't matter. And what's cool about all those toys
is that
they had cartoons with them. They had comics with them. So you had the reading aspect, you had the entertainment aspect, and then you had the imagination aspect. You had the triangle of education, imagination, visual, and interpretation. And when you combine your reading skills with imagination and your entertainment, man, you can learn so much, and your mind is open so much. And it just was a great time. And all the toys had accompaniments. It had vehicles. It had accessories. It had
great
bases. It had play sets. And then you had the comics come out so you could read the stories, and you had the entertainment come out. You could watch the stories with your family. Man, it was awesome. And then you had movies to accompany it too. So not only
like Star Wars.
Then there would be a movie that would come out too. So all around was the greatest. We've lost that. We've now the toys are made, and I get that the toys have great articulation. They're made for adults now to display, and you can make some cool displays. But we need kids to have good lines of toys too.
Yeah,
so they can keep their imaginations going.
And some of them had video games back in the 80s.
I don't know, Hasbro. If you want to expand on some more kid friendly toys, and you can still have the cool articulation, but keep the adults happy and keep the kids happy. Video games could be a way to do it, but it's you don't want to lose that imagination.
Right.
You don't want to lose that imagination. It's a lot of fun.
Transformers, that gives kids minds at work, because you're trying to transform it from a robot to a vehicle and vice versa.
Yeah, you get fine motor skills too. There's a lot there's a lot of education involvement with that, and I hope people don't lose sight of that. All right, Mighty Mafu, let's also talk about the Transformers issue that came out this past week.
Man, it was a great issue.
Let's talk about that.
Well, all of them are great issues. But anyway, so this one starts off with Thundercracker arriving at the Ark, and the Ark is undefended. So there's no Autobots there because they're all off on their different assignments. And Cliffjumper's on Cybertron. And, Thundercracker is looking for Skywarp after the last issue where he was talking to Soundwave. I don't want to do this. And so when he sees Skywarp all mangled and hooked up to Teletran 1, he's like, oh my gosh, what have they done to you? And so when he tries to get him down, Skywarper's like, do not, disconnect me, otherwise I'll die. And so Thundercracker is like, well, how am I going to get you down? So, and then I think some of the coolest arc or stories take place on the Cybertron side, where this small band of Autobots led by Elita 1 is really struggling. They've lost a lot of Autobots in this war, and so now they're barely hanging on. In the last issue, Cliffjumper found the sparks of his old friends from a long time ago. So now their mission is to go to the Allspark chamber, I think, or something like that. Can't remember the place. And to revive them to get more reinforcements. And it's really cool how they did it. And they introduced a new character at the end.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil the name.
I tell you what, if you haven't read Transformers, pick it up now. You can get it on Most Wanted Comics. And we also have the trades. If you want to catch up on past issues, you can get 1 and 2. We have both the trade paperback volumes.
It is a great series. I'm not going to lie.
Highly recommend it. It's up there. It's one of the greatest ones. So get on that. All right, Mighty Mafu, thank you very much.
Well, it was fun to be back, everybody.
It's fun to be back. You'll be coming in with some Mafu shorts.
Oh, yeah.
Moments with the Mafu coming up. Now, we're going to do more of those this year. We have a reminder for you guys. In fact, we're going to do the commercial right now before we get Atomic Tommy in here. Marcus Buff Bagwell is coming to Most Wanted Comics. We'll let him tell you all about it. We're going to give it to you right now while we get Tommy in here.
Saturday, February 22nd, 2025, me, Marcus Buff Bagwell, is coming to Bloomington, Minnesota. Go to mostwantedcomics.com. That's mostwantedcomics.com for all the information. But I'll be taking selfies and signing autographs with everybody that shows up. I haven't been to Minnesota in a long time, so don't miss it. Be there. I'm Buff and I'm still the stuff. See you soon.
All right, you heard it there. Marcus Buff Bagwell will be in here the 22nd, 10 to 2. So make sure that you come and show up and meet the Buff, and he's still the stuff. I'm very excited for this. Let's also go, since we're doing the housekeeping, so we got Buff Bagwell coming in. Then we've got the next weekend, March 1st, we've got a huge signing event. We've got 3 mega stars in the comic book world. We do.
No strangers to Most Wanted.
No strangers to Most Wanted comic, and then we have a first-time signer at Most Wanted comic who's not a stranger to Most Wanted comics, but a first time in the store.
Yep.
We're gonna go through it. We got Keith Champagne, Tom Nguyen, and the great Doug Mankey. We'll all be here.
Finally got him
into the store. We're super excited. I know a lot of the fans are super excited. There's going to be people getting on the big 3. And these guys have worked on so many DC books and other books. It's unbelievable. We'll have plenty at the store. But you probably have some in your own long boxes that you're not even aware of. But anyway, the creative team of Red Hood will be in
That's right.
In the shop. And then Key Champagne, New Pain Production is that we are a big supporter of. So the New Pain team and Red Hood team together, combined, mixed in, because Tom was on both those teams and is currently still on the New Pain team. But I tell you what, these big 3 are just legendary creators in their own right, both in the art world, the writing world. I mean, Mankey's still so big in the world of, I mean, he is drawn everything. He's legendary. I mean, he's an icon now. So we're really happy to have him and excited to have him at the store. And then another big announcement. March 22nd.
We're going back to back to back.
We're going back to back to 2 weeks to back. March 1st and
pretty much back to back.
Pretty much back to back to back. And then Rock and Roll Express will be making an appearance at Most Wanted Comics. The legendary Hall of Fame tag team will be here March 22nd, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Most Wanted Comics, so mark your calendars to March 22nd. We'll have more information next week as we get the details all finalized, but they did confirm that date, so we're happy to announce that date. Subject to change, but as of right now, 22nd, we're super excited. We're pretty set to have the Rock and Roll Express coming to town. I'm super excited. They were big time in the Southern Circuit. If you were an 80s wrestling fan, you're going to love meeting the Rock and Roll Express. So anyway, let's dive into some comic books that came out. Let's talk about what the meat of the conversation this week. We already discussed one of them with Hasbro, but let's knock out the comics that came out this past week. I myself actually did some comic book research. As you were sick, I had to pick up the ball and run with it.
You had to take over. That's right.
So I'm talking about Star Wars this week. I have been pretty down on Star Wars this whole past year and a half, but Skeleton Crew kind of reinvigorated me a little bit. I mean, I was okay with the cheesiness and the Goonies take on it. It was something fun. I think it was something needed to clear everybody's head of the terrible crap that Star Wars has been putting out. So I think the timing was right for something stupid but good that was Star Wars related, because it didn't ram anything down anybody's throat, and it just was a cool kid adventure, and adults liked it too. And I thought it wasn't bad. The last big one for me was Bad Batch, and what I liked about that ties into the comic book that came out this past week was it's going to be I think it's going to be a 5-issue miniseries, if I'm not mistaken, but it is going to be the Bad Batches. Now they're ghost agents, and the adventure they went on, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but they're going to have, it reminded me of the show so much. The art is really good. The story is really good. It's going to be a mini series, so make sure you're checking out Star Wars. And if you want to get on that, come to Most Wanted Comics. Again, we have copies, so pick that up and read it. The other one, I'm going to do this one for Mark, because Mark always gives us crap on the comments how we disrespect DC.
Yeah, he does. That's true.
Mark, this is for you, buddy. We're going to give credit this past week to Aquaman #2 of the All-In series. I tell you what, All-In Aquaman.
Gotta give it.
I know. Why are you talking about Aquaman? But Aquaman was there. I believe the artist was Timms, right?
John Timms. Yeah.
John Timms. This art in this book is absolutely incredible. It is Paul Peltierish, and I tell you what, it also reminds me of, because in this issue, he fulfills a prophecy to this group of people. They think he's a god, and now he's got his morphine underwater powers. I mean, it's a great story. and how they think he fulfills his prophecy. He gets a new group of people behind him, and he also gets in a fight with a creature that's similar to Swamp Thing, and it's kind of reminiscent. The art, like I said, in New 52, Aquaman fought the Swamp Thing, and Paul Peltier did the art for that, and it was amazing. And this kind of brings you back to that in the New 52 line. But anyway, the fight scene's incredible. Everything's incredible. So here's our tribute to DC this week on both the writing and the art of Aquaman #2, All In. So if you haven't picked up Aquaman, you're really missing out. It's actually better than I thought it would be. Just because DC has sucked for so long. I mean, the absolute ones have been good, but they've got something going on there. I guess it's readable for some of these issues. Some still aren't, but Aquaman, good job. We're giving a shout to you. And Mark, I hope you like the take on Aquaman this week. So that was just especially for you, buddy. All right. Do you have anything to add to that, Atomic Tommy?
Yeah, I got a book to talk about. I'm not invisible over here. we got to talk about One World Under Doom. Given that I was sick last week, I couldn't hype it up a little bit. Not that there's necessarily a ton to hype up, but I couldn't talk about it. It did release. I did check it out, and we do have to recap it, as it is kind of a big deal in Marvel. It's kind of their big official kickoff to their year event, their big year event that they got going on. It's only issue 1, right? I'm not gonna overglaze it. I'm not gonna say it's trash. It's just issue 1. We got to let it play out before we form any actual foundational opinions, right? But what I will say is that this story has a lot of potential. On the surface, it's pretty much exactly what you'd expect from a year Marvel event. I mean, somehow the villain gets all this power. The heroes somehow are now at the disadvantage, despite not being at the disadvantage 5 minutes ago, right? Now they have to kind of regroup and figure it out, take them down. It's a Marvel event, foundationally, typical Marvel event. But I think this is actually kind of an interesting setup. Definitely not breaking any new ground with like an emperor figure, with Doom being the ruler of the earth now. Which again, I think is kind of interesting because it allows for some kind of, you can bring down the heroes, you can build them up again. Again, nothing new, but I think it's relevant. I think given how comics are kind of received these days, especially new releases, I think it could be kind of cool to get sort of a Civil War, Devil's Reign-esque story where the heroes are kind of not at the front and center. They're not popular with, the everyday people, the people of Earth. And they have to, maybe they end up enjoying Doom's rule. Maybe they end up liking what he's doing. And the heroes have to regroup and prove why they are the ones best suited, why they are needed in the world, and why the world needs those heroes. Again, nothing too new. Wouldn't be breaking any ground, but I think it's relevant, and I think could be kind of cool for Marvel in its current state. There's also some potential with some cool world building here, right? How does the world reorganize? How are different parts of the world adjusting to Doom's rule? What is Latveria like, right? Now that it's sort of this big fortress. However, again, a lot of potential, but I can't help but wonder, how did we get here, right? What happened? Because, I don't read every comic that releases, but I do try to keep up with what's going on. We ended up selling out of that Dr. Doom and Rocket Raccoon book before I could check it out. So I don't know, maybe it was explained there, but how did this happen, right? I mean, Dr. Doom isn't exactly, a not known guy. He's not new. People should be and logically would be monitoring Dr. Doom at all times. So how did this happen? How did he take over? I don't really understand how we got here. Maybe I missed something in the book. I am still getting over being sick, so maybe I just overlooked it, right? It's possible. What I will say is, in Spider-Man, it was revealed that Dr. Doom became the Sorcerer Supreme, but that doesn't necessarily explain how he became the Emperor of the Earth. So I don't really know how they're going to explain that one, how they explained it, if I missed it. Even if they provided some kind of explanation, I'm not sure that I buy it. I'm really not sure that I buy it. There are, I mean, how many magic wielding people, heroes on Earth, how many people should be watching Doom at all times? I don't know. I don't know if I buy it, but again, it's only issue 1. We got to let it play out. A lot of potential, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes.
Yeah, you got me hyped for it.
Yeah, I hope so. We get people reading it.
It was a good build. We need people reading the book. So, and the Doom's going to be in the next movies.
He is. That is why they did it, by the way. If you're wondering why Doctor Doom, it's because Doctor Doom's going to be in a movie.
Everything's going to be about Doctor Doom, so it's just
every
marketing.
time.
It's marketing. So
every time. But we have to talk about now
the new
what's
books
coming out this upcoming week. 2 things I want to mention. One, a DC book, Zatanna #1. Been a while since we've had a Zatanna series. A lot underrated, kind of an underrated character. Not #1 for a lot of people, but a lot of fans of that character. A lot of people who I think will be checking this book out. Should be interesting. And also, we have a new X-Men book. It's been a little while since we've had a new X-Men book.
Shocker.
It is a shocker, but it has been a little while since we've had like an actual X-Men book, not like a miniseries. We have Weapon X-Men here, which I know I said not like a miniseries, but I'm pretty sure this is a miniseries. But it's kind of a bigger deal miniseries. It's kind of a team-up book. You have like Cable, I think, is going to be in it. Deadpool, I think, is going to be in it. A couple X-Men characters teaming up. Kind of a bigger deal. Kind of an interesting, more eye-grabbing book. So that'll be this week.
That's awesome. So make sure you come into Most Wanted Comics for your new comics. We also have a subscription service available.
Yep.
A pull list service available. I should say not subscription. Pull list service available at no cost to you. And also, don't forget about our Maniac program. You can become a Maniac at Most Wanted Comics. $10 a year. You get 12% off all your purchases every time you come in. Make sure you check that out as part of our store. And if you like what you see here, smash the like button and subscribe to our channel. We are getting new subscribers, and we appreciate all the people that are requesting shout-outs, and we appreciate your feedback as well. So don't forget to leave a comment and a like. We really appreciate that. But let's talk about the meat of the show today.
Yep.
Kind of just a personal take. This is nothing by a national story. It's nothing to do with anything. Just the fact that, we bring in signers to our store once in a while, and you really have to take into account the expense line is really tight on these because, they have to make their money and they want to make their money, and the store has to make sure it's worth it to do it. And again, with the big conventions too, they bring in the amount of celebrities and the amount of comic artists and writers, and everybody's got to do this and that. And it's really on the backs of the vendors and the audience. And I just feel like we're losing sight of some things here in the big shows. And we've been doing big shows, and as a family, we've been traveling to big shows for a long time.
Yeah.
And so we've seen kind of the updraft and the downdraft of what's going on, and it's just getting harder and harder and harder to do these big shows.
Yeah.
Especially for the vendor. And I think that the promoters of these shows are really, really taking advantage of the vendors now, and it's gotten to the point where they don't even care if the vendor succeeds or not.
Yeah.
And they get less and less for their money. The booths are going way up in cost. I mean, we've done, and just so you have an idea, we're not like people that aren't coming out of a VFW show. We've done Dallas. Most Wanted Comics has been around for 25. Okay, we've done Dallas, Planet Comic Con, C2E2. We've done the majors, all right? And the only thing we haven't done is New York, and we haven't done San Diego, okay? We haven't done those two. So, and don't say that you're not a real vendor until you've done those two. That's bullshit.
Yes, it is.
So, I mean, between Kent and I, Baltimore is a big one. North Carolina is a big one. Heroes Con, Planet Comic Con came, the biggest one in the Midwest. That's my favorite one, by the way. Planet Comic Con, the people that run that show are great.
Yeah.
But I just want to keep them grounded as well. They do try to keep it a comic book and fandom show, no matter what your fandom. That's what I like about them. All these shows, though, there's more and more money geared to the Hollywood celebrities that have nothing to do with, and some had something to do with comics. I get that. The guests are somewhat nostalgic, and they also do try to time to comic book movies, and I like the promoters that do that. But just concentrating everything on Hollywood celebrities to try to have the biggest show. Don't call it a Comic-Con. They need to change it to like a fandom con or fandom event or nostalgia con or some. I can help you with the names. Pay me. I'll think of one for you. But I think the future of this industry is going to get broken down into territories, kind of like it already is starting to, and you're seeing more and more of the little guy pop up. You're going to get the hotel venue, a littler show where it's actually a comic book show. You get a couple artists and a couple of writers, and I think that's where it's moving to.
Yeah.
And I think it might be time to do that, because I know when we would travel to Dallas or travel, I mean, you have your travel expenses, and then the booth alone, you're paying $1,000, $2,000. If you buy 2 booths, you're in at $2,000. You know,
Right.
Now that's a 10x10 corner. Now, not to say that you can get a smaller booth for $800, or $600, depending on the event. But still, you're giving away a raw free product just to make back the booth. That's not including your travel, your time, your hotel,
right.
Your gas, all that stuff. And at the end of the day, so, I mean, you're giving away $2,000 in free product just to break even before you even start making money.
Right.
And then you have the getting home factor, too, which is more gas and more time and more travel.
Right.
And then so at the end of the day, you got to do your books to figure out after you pay your taxes for that state, because Uncle Sam wants their cut. Was it worth it doing your show? So after you pay your tax on that, and everything, whatever the state sales tax was from the state you were in that show, it's becoming harder and harder for the vendor. And here's the other thing that's a downer. The last show we did too, we did Colorado. We were in Colorado, and the vendor pass was no good. Like the vendor pass, you couldn't get it. Like if you want to get online for it, they wouldn't honor like a VIP for you or to get into if you maybe. So I brought my son with me to Colorado. We had a vendor pass, and he had to get the VIP pass to get into the panel. And it's like, well, wait a second. You're kind of using the vendors to help pay for all this option. You would think a vendor pass could get you at least into a panel.
Right.
I mean, or get you some sort of priority, maybe a fast pass for the line. And I'm not calling out me, some comic shows I might be confusing, so don't say Colorado, we do that there, me. But I mean, some shows do and some shows don't. But I think that whatever show you do, I think the vendor pass needs to be up to at least a VIP pass.
Right.
Because you are helping the show out with offsetting costs of renting the room. And I get you relying most on the ticket sales to help with that offcast. But I mean, really the base of the room costs and the setup costs, you're really trying to ride the backs of the vendors on that. And so you should at least give the vendor pass a little more credibility, a little more access. I'd like to see that. But anyway, and the comic vendors are getting less and less at these comic book shows. It's hard to walk around a room and find a lot of comic vendors. And I think they're going to tell you the same thing. Well, they're starting to get priced out. It's not that they don't want to do it. It's that you don't get as much, you're paying all this money for a booth, and you don't get any customer service. Because you are also a customer as a paying vendor. They should be really, really taking care of you to make sure they're promoting every vendor. I don't care if you're selling the trinkets and trash. I don't care if you're selling comic books or toys. There needs to be some sort of more promotion instead of focusing on, hey, that's great, Mark Hamill's here. I'm excited, but he doesn't need promo. But if Mark Hamill's there, he's going to get a line, and he's going to get money. Right. But by the time everyone's rushing in for the weekend, so it's now coming on that the vendor has really 1.5 days to make their money, because now pretty much all of Saturday is going to be standing in line for whoever your autographs you want to get and pictures of, and then there's no money left in the wallet for the vendors.
Right.
Oh man, I would love to have come here, but man, we just spent all our money on a $100 signature for this guy and then this guy and this gal, and it's like, wow. And then the prices on those are going up because they're not making movies anymore, so they're just exuberant pricing on the autograph. And I mean, I don't know where it's gonna crash, but there's gonna have to be a bubble or something. Yeah. Anyway, Atomic Tommy, what's your thoughts? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I want to throw out there really is just we call them Comic-Cons out of habit
That's true.
But at the end of the day, what we understand as a Comic-Con is not what the cons are now. They start a lot, like now they're pop culture conventions, okay? They're not Comic-Cons anymore. I mean, Planet Comic-Con is really the only one and in some degree C2E2 and Heroes Con and Terrificon are really like the big conventions that keep to comics. But everything else, I mean, maybe has Comic-Con in their name, but they're not they're not really only a Comic-Con.
I think Denver did change their name to Pop Culture. Now that I think about it, I think
Denver's
they did change their name.
Denver's Fan Expo.
Fan
That's the one we
Expo.
did.
Okay, yeah, there.
And they're a big circuit, right? You know, I mean, people, you probably heard MegaCon was just last weekend. That's a lot of comic people there, but it's not called a Comic-Con. It's just called MegaCon, right? A lot of these shows and a lot of what we see today in a comic convention or a pop culture convention is what Comic-Cons 20 years ago have turned into. So it's not just comics as much as I'd like it to be, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But what you're left with is a lot of what he talked about, which is vendors being honestly taken advantage of in a lot of cases, and these shows just not being worth it. I want to look at, a local example, Twin Cities Con, right? That's a show that kind of started with more of a comic book-esque pop culture kind of focus, very quickly moved away from that into a more general pop culture kind of convention. The booth prices are kind of insane now for us to do the show, for anybody to do the show, really. And when you have that kind of cost as a vendor, you have to understand that sometimes the vendor backs out, and sometimes the vendor says, I'm not going to do it anymore for that price. And what we saw a lot of this year was no comics. I mean, we could count the number of comic book vendors on one hand. There was a massive decrease this year from previous years. A severe lack of comic creators. I'm sorry, indie artists, they're great, but they're not exactly drawn a line, right? There is a lack of professional talent from a comic perspective at this show. And one of the things I saw a lot of talk about on the aftermath of that was, there needs to be more comics. There needs to be more. What happened? Well, what happened was the vendors got priced out of the show. Because you could go in there, you spend $1,000 on your booth, again, not counting the taxes and the time. I mean, again, you got to understand, you're there for 3 days. It's a 3-day show. You're behind that table. 10
long
to 8
days,
long days. The time to set up, the time to tear down, the time at the booth, food if you don't have it. There's a lot of costs. Sometimes you're not allowed to bring outside food in. That's another thing. You have to buy food, right? So there's a lot of extra costs that go into it. And sometimes it just doesn't become worth it. It's not worth it for us to do C2E2. C2E2 is a fun show, but it's not worth it.
Not at the price of the booth.
Not at the price of the booth. And the reason for that is because it's not really a show for buying comics anymore. It's not really a vendor show that if you're just like a middle of the road vendor, you're a high-end vendors with your graded, 50s action comics and your crazy stuff that's from auction or from a crazy, collection or whatever somewhere. They're going to do great. They're going to they're going to get like the 20% of huge buyers that are there, and they're going to do fantastic. But your small little local comic book store that's looking to make, just get a lecture going on the side, it's not gonna be worth it to do C2E2. It's not gonna be worth it to do a Fan Expo. It's barely gonna be worth it to do a Planet Comic-Con. So what we're seeing is just vendors being priced out of conventions and moving to smaller, like you said, smaller, more little guy-esque stuff. which I don't really think it should be that way. For the price you pay as a vendor, you don't get fed. You don't get priority in lines most of the time. You really don't get what you're paying, and you just kind of sometimes some of these shows just kind of bring you down.
And I get their big argument is, well, you're making money. You should have to, you can buy this because we're giving you 60,000 people through the door. And yes, you're giving eyeballs on us, but those people we've watched every year now. We can tell you on a Friday when the show starts, and we have to be there a couple hours early to be set up, and we're ready to go on Friday. We watch the doors open on Friday and Saturday, and where's everybody going? They're running by your booth to be the first to get in a big long line to get the autograph, and that's not a bad thing. This isn't a criticism about that, okay?
No.
I have no problem with bringing in fun. Life experiences are important because people want to meet the people they grew up watching and idolizing. I get that. I'm a big part of fandom. I like bringing that to my customers at my store. But what everybody has to start coming together is how can we make it affordable for the average person that makes $60,000 a year? Because they're not all millionaires.
Right.
And you're starting to charge these exuberant prices, and the customer bringing a family of four is into entrance fees and everything. They're into it over $100 before they've even spent $1.
And that's another important thing too is
there's no average family consideration in these things anymore.
You have to. Another thing too is, I mean, again, we have the opportunity to make money. But the people walking through the door, they're spending, again, a huge entry fee off the bat. Then they're probably there for autographs because that's the draw at this point. The draw for a show is not the vendors most of the time. It's the guests, the talent that are brought in.
And they got to shut up the 5-year-old that wants food.
They got to shut up the 5-year-old's food. So now they're paying, extortionist pricing for some of these celebrities. They're paying extortionist pricing for mid-convention food. And by the time they start walking around, they realize, oh, I don't have a ton of money left. So, yeah, we have 60,000 eyeballs on our table, but not 60,000 people that are willing to spend money. Going back to Twin Cities Con, that was the huge thing that I took away. There was a lot of people that had record turnout. It was a great show, a great turnout.
It was a lot of fun.
Not a lot of buyers.
But not a lot of buyers for comics.
Because they were there. Everybody was there. They were there to meet Hayden Christensen. They were there to meet Ian McDermott. Two people, Grant Gustin, right? Guests that have never been to the Twin Cities before. Guess what? Hayden Christensen, $120 for an autograph. On a base level, that's for just an 8x10.
That's just a signature.
God forbid you bring anything personal. Grant Gustin, $120 for an autograph. Ian McDermott, $100 minimum for an autograph. That's a lot of money just on 3 signatures. Again, that's not counting food. That's not counting art or anything you're going to buy. You walk in there, you're paying the ticket price, you pay $500 for signatures. If it's the only 3 people you're going to get, what do you think is going to happen when you start walking around? You don't have any money left, right? So as a vendor, you got to consider that. You got to consider, okay, sure, I'm paying all this money to go set up a table, get a badge, promote my, business, just to not make not make a ton, to, your first time setup, your first time vendor, you're going to walk out of that show thinking you made absolute bank. But the longer you do it, the more you're going to realize, I would have been better off doing a garage sale this weekend. I would have been better off setting up at a local show next month rather than moving my inventory here. I would have been better off just waiting.
And after years of doing this, there's wear and tear on your body.
Those
long boxes don't get lighter. Those long boxes don't get lighter.
You can speak to that directly. It's a lot of work for most of the time doing these big shows, what you don't get. And again, I want to reemphasize, I love going to big shows.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to steer you away from going. Listen, this isn't a whole. I know it sounds poo-pooish, but there is a little. I mean, the article came in Mile High Comics, like the largest store, quit doing San Diego Comic-Con.
Right.
Think about that for a reason, all right? That's because, even he said it was just getting priced out of the market to make it worthwhile. It's not that it's not fun. I think if you have a family that enjoys fandom, these things are great things to go to.
Yeah, I mean, in a show like San Diego, New York, even C2E2, they're more experiences than they are
Planet Comic-Con too.
Things,
I tell everybody and it is my favorite, and I would never tell anybody not to go to Planet. It is an awesome event. I promise you'll have a good time because they do take care of the fans really well there. Yeah. And no matter what your fandom is, you feel welcome there. Yeah. And you're a part of that community there. And kudos to Kansas City because they know what the hell they're doing. And kudos to Heroes Con because they know what they're doing. Baltimore, all these places, I'm not telling you not to go. And I'm not steering you away from it. I'm just telling you as a vendor, it's more of these things I just wanted to vent up and be careful about. Yeah. And hopefully the people that run the shows can at least take us some ways in, and hopefully there's a good idea and there's some happy medium to try to take care of it a little better. Because I'm not mad about capitalism. You go there, you try to make money, you try to do it. I think it's just fine if you do or you don't. I'm just pointing out some of the things that I want to see improved a little bit. And what I want to see taken care of though is they do got to get a handle on the prices that some of these people think that they're worth for the signing.
I mean, let's go back to Mark Hamill for a second. Mark Hamill charges $400 for a base signature, okay?
Just a base. If you bring a figure,
it's more. Look, Luke Skywalker, Star Wars, great stuff. Not $400 great. There's no world where that is a reasonable charge for somebody writing their name down. I don't care if you're Winston Churchill reincarnated. I'm not paying you $400 to write your name down. Even Hayden Christensen. He was a lot of fun to meet. He was great. He is known for one role, Anakin. Not a popular movie now, right? People like him now. He's kind of popular now. Not 20 years ago. Why am I paying you this crazy price for you to sign your name? You're not you're known for one role.
Well, here's the big gist of it. It's not even that. It's not. Again, I'm not trying to be negative. I don't want. Hey, you guys are coming after me because you can charge $1,000. Say I don't care what you charge. Whatever you think you're worth, go get what you're worth. Okay, that's great. If people are willing to pay it, I would take it all day long too.
That's true. That's true.
All I'm saying is there just has to be a little consideration on give the fan, if they're going to pay $400 Mark Hamill for a signature, for example. Again, sorry, we didn't mean to call you out by name. So we're not going to get viral that you ripped Mark Hamill on. Okay, so we're just using an example. Mark Hamill, $400 for an autograph, okay? But if I'm going to pay $400, give me more than 10 seconds. Don't put me at the table, put your item down, it's signed, and they're rushing you through, and all you got to say was hi to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Give them a minute. Give them, and I get the lines are so long, so you have to find a happy medium. But give a chance to make eye contact and say, hey, look, you were Luke Skywalker. I grew up, you were my guy. I loved to... Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Let's get a picture with you. And there's lines for pictures. Just give them some, just so they can have an interaction to let them know you exist. It's not just
400.
You sign and move through.
400 better get me a table selfie at least. At least
a table selfie. Come on now. There's something you can do for the fan to give them a little more than just, because I've been through this too. You paid the $100. You get. I did. What was it? Who was it? Maybe it wasn't $100. It was $80 or something. It was I think it was Richard Dreyfuss or something. Whatever. Okay. You showed up late. We were in line, whatever. And then you paid the money. You got through. Didn't even really talk to you. Just signed the signature and they moved you through. It's like, well, wait, I wanted to say I love John. I love blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Nope. They're moving you through the next one. It's just like, well, I just paid all this money for the autograph. That's great. I at least wanted to let him see me and talk to him for a minute and say, hey, dude, I really like your work.
Yeah.
And I just think these are things that need to be thought about. And I don't know, I don't have all the answers to make it better.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to get the conversation going because out of conversation comes ideas. And then out of ideas comes the debate.
Yeah.
And then you figure out between the debate what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, what we can meet in the middle on.
Yeah. And again,
hey, there's an example for politicians out there. There you go. Start with that. Throw out ideas. Pick the ones you agree and debate them out and figure it out.
Yeah.
Good idea. So anyway,
I'm not trying to poo-poo big shows. I'm I'm not trying to poo-poo autographs. I'm not trying to poo-poo diversity in content and in vendors at a show. I'm just saying there's been a lot of talk going around recently as to why there's less and less comic book presence at these big shows, and why so many of these comic vendors and honestly creators are trying to move more towards doing like only Heroes Con or only Terrificon or maybe C2E2 if they have the product for it, right? But why there's less and less comics happening at what a lot of them started as comic book shows. So I just kind of wanted to throw out why that might have been, and just understand that some of these shows are just kind of better to go to as a regular guy sometimes, and not as a vendor.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I love the big shows, so I'm not discouraged. I just want to get the conversation going again so we can get out ideas. So just want to leave that charge. I thought that was a great topic to talk about today, and I just thought it needed to be done because we're starting to get in, guys, once we get past February here, we're in the heart of Comic-Con season.
Yep.
I shouldn't say Comic-Con again. It's just it's a habit word.
Convention season.
Convention season kicks off really from March, okay? So once March gets underway, we're in the really meat grinder of convention season. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it was appropriate to kind of just get the ball rolling and start debating the topic. So give us your comments. Give us what you think. One thing we try to do at Most Wanted Comics, if we do have a fan experience and we do have a signing, you're going to get more than 10 seconds. I promise. Okay, you're going to get to meet the person, say hi to the person. They're going to get to acknowledge you, maybe get a quick story. You can't have an hour with them, whatever, but at least you're going to get some time and you're going to get your money's worth out of that experience. I promise you that. Yeah. That's a guarantee at Most Wanted Comics. But anyway, it's time for the shout-outs. Shout-outs. Here we go. Matt and JD, as always, love you guys. Thanks for your support on our channel. Dan, Amazing Spider-Man fan. Love you, buddy. Thanks for all your help out there. Dean the Machine. We love it. Jimmy D'Souza. Jimmy, hope all is well, buddy. We look forward to seeing you soon. Caleb, always a pleasure. Want to give you a shout out. David, a.k.a. Superman fan. Superman David. Hey, we love you, buddy. Look forward to seeing you soon. Glad you liked the cluck off that time. We appreciated you coming to the store and saying it. We love that. Mark, hope you appreciated the DC shout out this week. Brian, Jeff, Ryan, Jim, Liz, Sheila, of course, the Gossovich family. Thank you very much. We love you guys. Jamie gets her own bracket as always. Pat, Sydney, the Dwyer family. You guys are great. Thanks for coming in and supporting the store. Dan, Shanice, Larry, and of course, Rick and Melissa. Love you guys. Glad you're down here in the Twin Cities now. Look forward to seeing you more. I tell you what, if you want to be on the shout out, make sure you send us a request to be on the shout out and I'll add you to the list. As Chris Jericho would say, you just made the list.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, all right, you guys. Anyway, keep up mostwantedcomics.com, Most Wanted Comics on Facebook, and Most Wanted Comics LLC on Instagram. And we look forward to seeing you next week, everybody.